All right, you magical creatures throughout the multiple universes that this show gets to. This is Tom Laidlaw. It's 10 o'clock Thursday morning. Straight to you from Greenwich, Connecticut. How is everyone doing? I'm doing well. What was I going to talk about today? I know what the topic I want to start off today. I had a couple of good poops already this morning, just so everybody knows. I know people are probably concerned. So I had my smoothie. So I realized when I take my smoothie, it's got sea moss, avocado, um, organic chicken stock, and what else we put in there? Collagen peptides. Mimsy, how are you doing there? Jack Smith, you magical man, you. So I have much. So the sea moss, lots of fiber in it. Oh man, Ron Jameson, how you doing, brother? Have you not been with us the last couple of shows? Ron Jameson, the beautiful veteran of beautiful Buffalo, New York. Bodybuilding capital of the world. William Haynes, how are you? Got your Haynes underwear on. I got Costco on today. Barry Shelley, how are you doing? Susan, how are you doing? Magical creature. Happy with the Rangers. They're playing well. Fighting pneumonia. I'm sorry about that, Ron. Sorry about that. Lots of vitamin C, ginger, turmeric, all that stuff is good for you. Barry Shelley, magical veteran, you up in beautiful Cooperstown, New York. I'm supposed to be going out. I think I'm going up to Binghamton this weekend. I'm not sure. I haven't heard yet for sure from the Rangers. But the Larry Pierce and his family have the farm up there, the outdoor rink. I've shown you pictures. We've been up there the last couple of years. Jen O'Brien puts on the event there with Ashland, American Special Hockey Association for kids. Great event. Lots of fun. Those guys are fired up too. There was a fight there a couple of years ago. They had a fight during one of the games. The father was not happy. The one young boy that got into a fight. There's Ira. Yeah, I haven't been doing as much Ranger stuff. No, actually, no more Ranger events. No, I'm still doing some. Again, this is a Ranger event up in Binghamton, New York, at the Pierce family farm. Man, if you guys. It's a private farm, but they're incredible. They have high school teams playing up there, so it's a full-size outdoor rink. Larry Pierce was a college hockey player at Cornell, and has a company now. Really creative guys. The demolition company, but they're pretty cool. They save a lot of stuff like the wires. They've got a machine that strips the copper wires, so they can reuse that. I think they have another machine. I believe it's correct where they grind up cinder blocks and everything to make roads. I can't remember how many kids he's got. One boy, I think he's like 14 or 15-year-old, bought himself his own tractor, big tractor, drives around doing stuff. They wanted to build another road going into their property because the neighbors were complaining about the noise. So the son, he was one of those tree cutters, and just started cutting down trees and made another road. They're a funny group. They decided to do something. They built a beautiful bridge. I think it had pretty much all used materials over a ravine, pretty deep ravine with a river going through it. And now they built by their hockey rink a whole big setup with balcony. It's one of those things like a kind of log cabin, but huge thing. We can get in and get warm. Good luck to Barry Beck. That's right. Barry Beck going in for surgery today. Finally, he had a long wait. I guess the medical system there, if you pay for it, you can get in right away. But it's state owned or whatever it is, federal medical system. And he was going to take longer. And we were going back and forth. He sent me a text. He says, I'll get in earlier. And I said, how'd that happen? He says, well, if I learned how to swear. He said, I finally learned how to swear in Chinese. So, but we don't swear. Swear's bad. That's right. That's the Bubba Strong. Yes, there you go. Happy belated birthday to Larry Melnick from yesterday. It's Larry Melnick's birthday yesterday. Yes. 100. I won't get into that. No, don't start trouble. They're fantastic. The scoreboard came from Cornell along with the Zamboni and Boardsman. Yeah. Yes, that's right. So the Pierce family is excellent. Again, they do so much stuff. They kind of, from what Jen has said, Jen O'Brien, is that they pledged that they will never charge anybody to use this rink. And it's beautiful. Like, it's got the chillers and the whole bit. It's like a regular rink. And then adding this, I'm looking forward to seeing this new thing that they added. And I get my own house up there. Call it Tom's house. They really do. Stay up there. It's like an A-frame, one of those A-frame houses. I stay there all the time. So when I go up there, let me see. Jack Smith, Brendan Othman on a 70-point pace for 80 games in Hartford with Wheeler out. Maybe they should bring him up. Yeah, it's hard to argue with what they're doing right now, though. They're playing well. And that is always the balance, right? You owe it to the players there and the fans and the organization that you want to win, but you've got to work in those young kids eventually. Like the old Detroit Red Wings, it's just been Kenny Holland has run the team for 20 some years. They would always let those kids stay in the minors, maybe even longer than other people would have. But they had the benefit of having a really strong team all the time, or pretty much all the time, so they could afford to do that. Some people believe, and maybe it's changed now a little bit. Excuse me, that it's good for kids to wait in the minors to mature more physically and mentally. Sometimes there are kids, not all of them. Some kids come up and they get there too early, and then they just kind of take things for granted a little bit. And again, that's not all kids. Obviously, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, those kind of guys, that they were fine. But there's a defenseman there that can't remember who it was with Philadelphia, and he came up early. Everybody's talking how great he was, and his career kind of fell apart there a little bit. I can't remember what his name was. I'm sure somebody's gonna remember it, Susan or somebody. Do they need his ammo? You know what? I'll let them know that you can do it, Ron. But they have, I think, the family. They've got people working on the farm and everything. So they've got, what else do they have there? They have buffalo there. What is? I can't remember what they had. Screaming at me. Good stuff. Let me see here. What an incredible experience. Yes, that's right. Sunday, MetLife Stadium, the Rangers and the Islanders. They select few. So wasn't it a mess? They announced some Ranger alumni. I didn't make the cut. It was Mark Messier, Mike Richter, I think Brian Leach, and Adam Graves, I believe, who it was. And they actually had Mark Messier and Mike Keenan go in and talk to the team before the game. I just found that I was talking to the great Jackie Onassis, Jackie DiPiazza. Yes. He's been dark as the Red Wings, and they say he came calling and destroyed a 95-point team. He was concerned with length of Stemmer's hair. Yeah. Henrik. Oh, that's right. Henrik was there too. That's right. Richter, Graves, and Messier. Oh, that's right. No, Brian Leach. I think Brian Leach is a little falling out with the Rangers. I don't think he's too happy with them for some reason. But that's just I've not been told that or anything. I just get that impression. Let me see. Yeah, I always say the Drury will never be fleeced. He's a smart man. Trade he makes you a benefit club. Yeah, I agree with you. It's really tough not many GMs get fleeced in deals. I mean, some teams are forced to do deals for different reasons, right? Maybe you trade a player that's a good player because you need to get rid of the salary cap era here. So it may look like you're not getting enough back, but again, you're really buying salary cap room. So let me see. Yeah, if they had a Mount Rushmore Rangers talk, would be on the other side. Oh, Ron, I thought we were tight. That's terrible. True, but terrible. Yes, I saw that. I heard that too. Yes, thanks, Susan. So the McDonald family. So Steve McDonald was the police officer that was shot and paralyzed. He was a huge Ranger fan. Am I not correct, Susan? The Players Player Award is now called the Steve McDonald Award, right? I believe that's the case. That's the one that's voted on by the team, by the players itself. Oh, was that a classic? That was unbelievable. The speech. Did you guys see that where they retired Yager's number and he had his young girlfriend there? Like, what? He's 50 something. His girlfriend, I don't know, was like 20 years old. He said, "How did he say it?" He said, "My girlfriend's not old enough to remember that I played." And the crowd went nuts too. I think a lot of people speculated too that probably 3 or 4 years ago he had met a young lady, spent the night together. She wanted to try to extort some money from him, and she took a picture of him sleeping, and she was beside like a selfie. So the two of them were in bed together, and she tried to extort money. He said, "Well, fine, post it." And she was an attractive woman and everything. Everybody was kind of cheering him on. That didn't work out too good for her. Oh, so I don't know if that was tied to it, but it was hilarious when he made that comment. At first the crowd was like, "Did he really say that?" You could hear like, and then so the laughing started building up. So, let's see. Let me see. Jack Smith. What do we got? One day, Stokowski handed Harkness an envelope with hair clippings, wearing a Cornell beanie. Oh, I didn't know that stuff. I forgot that Stemmer was. He wasn't he a rookie when he was in Toronto too, and won the Stanley Cup in '67. Let me see here. Actually, how come Herb Brooks didn't care about the length of blade last year? Herb didn't care about that stuff. Yeah, Herb was fun. Like he would. he pretended he get mad about stuff and everything like that. But he liked guys to challenge him. Like he didn't want people just to get into him. It's like in the movie there where the goalie Jimmy Craig wouldn't do that test. Like Kirby actually kind of liked it. The guy thought for himself and just didn't do it because he was told to do it. So didn't want too much of that. But yes, I saw that when they get a new 2-year deal. Let's discuss something here too. They term it an extension. So it's not a big deal, but you really can't extend a contract. You can't. Once a contract is signed and registered with the National Hockey League, you cannot change that contract. I mean, there's terms you can get bought out and all the things, but you can't. People say, well, you get an extension to it. It's a new contract. It's really not that big a deal. It's just the terminology they use. So you're really not extending an existing contract. You're just adding on with another contract. Spitting hairs, but Pepper, yeah. It's so quiet. Pepper's not around. I wonder how Pepper is, right? I think Pepper's really ever worried about me, like saying, I wonder how Tom is. I miss him. Yes, I think, yes. Not the whole time, I don't think, right? I think that's why maybe it was the whole time. That's why when Harkness left, that's why Steve Baker left. I think he was on the podcast telling us that. Oh, new podcast out. Really interesting podcast, the Full Change podcast, that you can listen to on all podcast platforms. Please like, share, and comment, particularly on Apple Podcasts. But we had Riley Cote, former Philadelphia Fire. I know he didn't play long, it was about 4 years, but fascinating story. He's really gotten into the psilocybins and the medical use for that, treating people. He does other, life coaching as well, but he's got a place down in Jamaica, actually, where people can go to do that. Really well-educated man. He was talking at one point, all the terminology for what psilocybins do. Psilocybins, for people don't know, are a natural. There's a mushroom. It's a certain type of mushroom that if you take too much of it, you get hallucinate. But a lot of people are using it for traumas and everything. There's microdosing and macrodosing. The microdosing, he claims that like about 50% of pro athletes are microdosing before games now. And I was kind of shocked at first, thinking like it's always going to make you hallucinate. But he says, no, it's not true. It can, if you look it up, it really helps you focus. When you take the microdose, you have to know how much to take and everything. So it's really interesting listening to him talk about it. Let me see here. Yes, and interesting Stemmers with Jim Pappen, a great line in the playoffs. The Leafs won the cup. Jim Pappen. Is that the guy that was in the movie? Right, he wasn't in the movie. Really interesting. I saw a documentary on him. What an interesting person. He had a pretty good career too as a player. Let's see. Pigment Jim had an interesting press conference yesterday. Everyone but the big three on the block before the deadline. Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. It's hard to do a rebuild when you got, especially Sidney Crosby on the team. Interesting that who's the guy, Carlson? I know he's a really talented player, but it just seems like he really never, they went to the finals when you're in Ottawa when he was there. But it just, I don't know. It's just something about his attitude. Not like it's a bad attitude. That's the thing. It's almost like it's too lackadaisical an attitude, like too much of a, like the real leaders, right? Get that little snarl to him. Even today, that he's gay. But it was Sidney Crosby when they were winning too. He was still snarled his game. Well, I hope Pepper's still alive. What if he got hit by a car? Oh my God, that'd be terrible. Joe Lettuce. How's Gresh doing? Good. I haven't talked to him that much. He called me at 5:30 Saturday morning, I think it was. He wanted to, I think he would give a ride to the game on Sunday. I said, I'm not going. What? Yeah, not going. 80,000 people. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That was a good show. The Rangers are, they can be from period to period the best team in the league, or one of the teams at the bottom, period to period, game to game. When they decide to play, man, I wonder if it's just like they're like the game's too simple for them, right? They're such a talented group of guys, two great goaltenders. A lot of players left when Ned left Union. Ned was so loved by both. Yeah, that's what Steve Baker was saying too. There was no, once Harkness left, he said that he was gone. There was no second thought about it. He was moving on. So I didn't realize with Steve Baker, man, he was a good player there early, and then he tore his groins up and everything. I forgot all about that. But man, watching some of the old games that he played in. And I didn't realize this, but he was a big fan of Ken Dryden. And I said that to him. I said, "Listen, you look like Ken Dryden." He said, "Well, yeah, that's my favorite player. Makes sense. Big, tall guy. What a gentleman he is, too. He and his wife, really nice people. The rest of us are all a bunch of muttheads, and he's this total gentleman, like an educated guy. He's what. There's a reason I've told the story too. He's the reason I call my father Chief Laidlaw. I've told the story, but I'll tell it again because I like to tell stories again. But we used to, when the fathers would come into the practice rink, we would introduce them. Like my father was Don Laidlaw. Go around, everybody, this is Don Laidlaw. And then when Steve Baker, his father came in, his father was a doctor. So rightfully so, he introduced him as Dr. Baker. But us idiots thought that this was kind of funny. So we started calling our fathers by the name of their career. So Chief Laidlaw, he was the firefighter chief. So he was Chief Laidlaw. I believe it was Mike Rogers. His father was I don't know, it sounds weird, but I think he was a cardboard coffin maker. So Mr. Rogers was now cardboard coffin maker Rogers. Let me see here. Lindgren reminds me of a Girardi, and Callahan gives up his body at all costs. Yep. Yeah, he does. He plays hard. Very inspirational. I've said this before too. I just wish he was a little bit bigger. He still gets it done. But yeah, he plays a bigger game than he really is. Fiery guy, yep. I think maybe you could have included my name in that too, Susan, but apparently you didn't. Oh, man. Let me see here. Danny Erickson, I'm just curious if you know about. Yes, I absolutely do. He was his stick rep for Sherwood or somebody when I played. So I still see him at events. Lost his wife recently too. Great guy, really good family guy and everything. Does a lot of stuff for the community. Let me see here. Gio said, can Richter put a towel on? And he kept probably, I'm going Simon because yeah, I was listening to that. So they got talking about penises. And apparently Richter came out for a press conference with just nothing on. So they were alluding to the fact that he was, well-endowed young man. And Boomer apparently is too. So yeah, Eddie Schizzeri. This is on Boomer and Gio in the morning. So Eddie Schizzeri is fantastic. I guess he's the board operator there, but he's got all these drops that he's used from other times during the show that are totally inappropriate. He uses them. And that's the funny part about it. Like, they're talking about Boomer's junk. I'm Boomer Esiason. And then, like if there's ever an attractive woman on, like I guess at one point Boomer said something nice jugs or whatever. So Eddie plays that. He's hilarious. He goes on. Sometimes they just let him go. He goes on and on. The guys are dying laughing. So if you ever listen to their show in the morning, WFAN, CBS Sports Television, right? CBS Sports Channel Television. So it's simulcast. Let me see, Joe Lettuce. Do you think the Rangers make a big move or move? My feeling, you know what? I don't know for sure. My feeling is I think they've got a good team. It's depth moves. You're always having injuries. Guys get cold sometimes. Aren't playing well, whatever. You need to have those depth players. So like those third or fourth line guys, the fifth or sixth or seventh defenseman. They've just got. I like that team so much. So I just think that they've shown they've got the potential. They really don't need to do anything, I don't think. But latest YouTube prompt, I think that was Rangers Flyers St. Patrick's Day. Hell yeah. Isn't it funny? Like, well, I guess that's just the way they do it, right? The algorithm. So once you start watching something, you get all new stuff. See how Danny Buzz is coming to the Rinks reunion this summer. Oh, is he coming up there? Nice. Up to the Rink of Dreams up at Cooperstown, New York. He's a lifeline hockey guy. Always doing something in hockey. There's a lot for kids and everything. Buzz Deschamps. I think you said Deschamps. Do you like those uniforms? Yeah, they were cool. I didn't think the Islanders were that nice. I thought it was kind of, but the Rangers, that was pretty cool. Like the big NY on the helmet and everything too. Yeah, it's cool. They do a good job, man. Creative stuff. NHL does a really good job with outdoor game too, like dressing it up. Somebody was saying, I didn't see this, but they had people walking around outside the rink like with dogs, like they're at a park setting. That was pretty cool. Like to think of a lot of cool things. Okay, maybe someone should write. Susan's always getting that little jab in there. Get the jab in there. The book's almost done. Almost done, Susan. I know I told you that. I did say it'd be done for Christmas, so I got a few more months. Good morning, everybody. Christine, how are you? There we go. Oh, hey, Tom, a crazy thought. I think Dolan could build a 50,000-seat outdoor rink with a retractable roof from rain and snow. The Rangers would sell out. Rangers can stay in the garden. Or Knicks can stay in the garden. I listen. You may be right. It's especially when the team's good. You may be able to get that 50,000 every game. That'd be pretty cool, isn't it? Although they got the 5,000 seat arena there in Phoenix or Arizona, whatever that is. Yes, I have Game War jerseys. Yes, I have put them in a frame, actually. Get them framed. It's right behind me, but with the green screen up there now, so you can't see them. It's pretty cool. I've got my ones from college too. It's pretty cool. You don't think about it at the time, but later on, you're glad. I mean, my parents saved a lot of stuff, a lot of newspaper articles, pucks, the first goal I scored. Actually saved an old lacrosse stick. It's probably like 50 years old or 55 years old, old wooden one. Lacrosse. Let me see here. Let's see. Most Ranger jerseys are pretty good, other than the 1978 Shield one. Yeah, that was the Ranger jersey is classic. Yeah, even though they changed them around. Same with Montreal, Chicago, all those original 6 teams, really. Not as much. Oh, yeah, I guess the Detroit jersey is still good in the Boston one, but Chicago one, Montreal, Toronto's. Okay, we got some trivia here. Ira Matthew, trivia. What former Rangers was the star of Survivor? Ira. Survivor, that was a blast. Should do something like that again. I love seeing Campos game last week. Yeah, it is a confidence thing, right? You think to yourself that these guys are pros, they should have confidence. It just doesn't work like that. And usually I say to people, listen, like people ask, how do you get your confidence going? It's putting in that extra work and practice, getting there early, staying late, really working on your game. And then you kind of give yourself a license to be confident in yourself. But he's a hard worker, right? From what I've seen. I don't think that's, from what I've seen anyways, it doesn't seem like that's an issue, his work ethic. So, it happens. It's Nathan McKinnon. I use him as an example all the time. The first 3 or 4 years, there's a lot of questions whether he was going to make it at all. Not just become the player he is now. Now he's a beast out there. Wow. Let me see. Yeah. Anniversary of US was our game. Favorite Pavlich story. Let me see here. Favorite Mark Pav. There's a lot of good stories about Pav. I think it was just, it was really just the whole attitude. Like, he just was such a hard worker. Like I never really got the sense though that he was just like totally passionate about the game. It's just that if he was going to do it, he was going to do it all out. And he just didn't care about all the other, the fancy suits and models or anything like that. I told so many times he had a flannel shirt. He'd wear a flannel shirt and corduroy pants. And then we had a dress code that you had to wear a jacket and tie. So he just put a tie on that outfit and a jacket. And it's like all like 6 or 7 different colors and stripes all over the place. And he could care less. He did a radio show. They wanted him to do a radio or TV show, and he wouldn't do it. And they said, well, what do we want? What do you want if you do it? He said, fishing pole. So we were on the road, and wherever it was, they gave him the fishing pole. He just carried it around the whole time on the road trip. So that's fishing, hunting, living out in the woods. I did an interview after, unfortunately, we lost him, and someone mentioned about him living out in the woods, and we were concerned. No, that was Mark Pavlich. That's where he wanted to be. Sure, if you want to say happy birthday, go ahead. Yeah. Still going out there. I'm not out of shape. What are you talking about, Danny? I guess the Probe said I was the best conditioned guy out there on the show, if I'm correct. And this is after much testing too, so let's not go down there. Did you ever play with Penguin? Yes, I did. Rod Buskis, good guy. He's a pilot now. He's a commercial pilot. Good guy, good teammate, tough as nails. Remember him and Randy Hilliard together? Same kind of guys, both right shots, just do their job, tough. I guess I still believe that he is Mr. Palin up in. I think he's been banned. I think from the Ranger stuff too. So, let me see here. What do we got? Pav in my all-time top 5 Ranger go back to 1969-70. What a tough one. Yep. And he just, and he wouldn't back down from anybody. When it came game time, it was just all business to him. Scored the 5 goals one time in a game. Everybody else going nuts. And he was like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. It wasn't bothering him. Wasn't getting excited about it. Didn't change his life. He's a good player, yeah. Yeah, and when he decided he'd had enough, didn't want to put up with any more crap, he just said, that's it. I'm done. I am done. Done like dinner. Let me see here. when I attended an event, some players were talking about Pav, and they said he would always had his guitar. Yep. When again, he wouldn't. He had a great team guy. I don't want to get you wrong, but if he had his way, he'd just go home, play his guitar, sing Bob Dylan songs, smoke a couple of doobies, and he was a happy man. Just come wander in the next day, same work ethic, never changed. Fun guy. He was funny. Fun guy. He's a mushroom. Fun guy. Again, I know it's being a little selfish here, but if you really want an informative podcast, this is probably the most informative podcast we had. The other ones were entertaining and everything. But Riley Cote came out yesterday on our Full Change podcast. And he's really sunk himself into understanding how psilocybins work. He's a life coach, but he really specializes in the use of psilocybins, microdosing and macrodosing. And he really educated me, and I've done some more homework on it. Obviously, he's telling the truth. It seems like there's a lot of people, people going into meetings, athletes, business people, anybody that has to be really sharp. And if you learn how to use the psilocybins properly, it's microdosing. It's a small dose, doesn't make you hallucinate like that. It really gets you focus. And it's a natural product. I want to be careful. I don't want to top people to use, but do your own homework. And apparently, it's very healthy for you. But again, it's still controversial, and obviously, it's not legal. He's got a place down in Jamaica where people down there and use it. So, update on book. Almost done. We're just the finishing touches. I would say if it's not done in a month, I'm going to give us a month because there's really no timetable for us now. Like they have it done during the hockey season, but it's almost done. Let me see here. Yeah. Have you been on National? No, I have not. He's really, that's the thing with ours. Ours is not necessarily just a Ranger-centric podcast. Riley's is more of a Flyer-centric, whereas like Chris Nyland has his. It's more of like a Canadian thing. So, but it was on the one Tales with Terry Ryan. Everybody gets a chance to see that. He's on the show called The Shoresy. Hilarious show. It's it's Canadian hockey guys. That's how they talk and everything. And pretty funny show. He's quite a character. His career didn't go the way he wanted to. This is Terry Ryan, was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. And he hurt his ankle. He's a tough kid and everything. But his after career, like he's gotten into acting, podcasting, so he's really turned the corner. And he's worked hard at it too. Like he worked like 5 years as one of those, just a backstage guy just to get inside there. A lot of people say that 5 years is crazy. Like maybe 1 or 2 because it's long hours. Mel, inquiring minds what to know. Mel, what are you wearing today? I don't think Mel's here. Let me see. He wrote it inside a matchbook. You talking about my book? Barry, are you picking on me today? Can't believe it. Barry would pick on me today. Then I had one Grishner. On Grishner, it was great. Beezer, so BBK says John Van Beesbrook. Beezer lacks no confidence. He loves himself very much. Great athlete, I'll tell you. Great athlete, just did everything. We went to a bowling event one time. I think it was kind of a bonding thing. Of course, Beezer picks the ball up like he's like a pro golfer or a pro bowler. He could just do everything. He's a fantastic athlete. But again, and you know what? If you're going to be a goaltender in National Hockey League, you better believe in yourself. And he certainly did and does. I knew what you meant, Jack. I knew what you meant there. I'll cover you. Now, Danny Erickson made a mistake. I was going to jump all over him. I know that Jerry Gillis is a stuntman in Hollywood. Jerry Gillis, the guy we played with? Really? Is that right, eh? Wow, that's cool. Stuntman in Hollywood. Jerry Gillis. Good guy, too. What a good team player he was. He's a stuntman in Hollywood. That's cool. I got to look him up. Jerry Gillis. Is that Jerry Gillis. Didn't he play in Buffalo first, too? I think he came to us. Jerry Gillis. Stuntman. How would you get? Well, I guess. I'll do a lot of different stuff. Katsumel, you're stranded on a desert island. Pick one. Keep my Katsumel eat you. I'll be swimming off. Those two can stay there. I'll be swimming. That would be, oh man. Mr. and Mrs. Congeniality, those two. Let me see. Yeah. Have you watched Next Level Chef? Yes. Did I mention? Yes, it'd be perfect on this show. Similar to Gordon Ramsay. Yes, I have seen that. I did. I think tell you, and I don't know where this is going to go, so I'll be careful. I was approached by a producer out in California uh, that deals a lot up in Canada and want to get me on a cooking show up in Canada. And again, it may not go anywhere. I don't know, but that'd be cool if that happens. I got to get back on that. Susan Brooks was very nice. Got me the list or the address and phone number of the casting agents for all the cooking shows on the cooking channel. So, and again, I made a mistake. I applied right around Christmas. There's probably nobody in the office. Oh my goodness, Lena drives a tractor. Yes. Oh, we got to talk about the sourdough. Lena drives a tractor trailer for a living. I could have. That was a blast. Another one of those great adventures. Oh yeah. If anybody's got something they want to do, go do it. And you only live once. Truck driving school. All right, sourdough bread. So it's an art form, like about getting your sourdough starter. Gonna have the right fermentation. It's got to be bubbled up. I'm realizing like I was cheating a little bit because I was build up and then I was taking some out, but not enough out. You have to take enough out so that you have equal parts starter, flour, and water, and then now it starts to feed better. And yes, let me see here. I guess when we commented to you about your goal celebration, you told us, boys, you're in church. Did I really say that? Oh, that's funny. I did say that. Oh, that's funny. Ron Jameson. How's the dogs? They're barking. They're barking. Yes. Barking, run around, no leash on. Barking. I was thinking of moving from here, so I was looking at places, and they're all like, "Oh, this is pet friendly." Well, then I'm not living there. I'm gonna try to find a place that there are no pets. Let me see. How's the dogs? Tom, the fish story with. That was funny too, Chris. So he told a story. Mark Hardy's one of the funniest guys I ever played with. Played together in LA there. Good player too, really good. Somebody, I think it was actually Gresson, stole Chris Nyland's shoes on the plane. He'd fallen asleep or whatever, but he gave them to somebody else. So Knuckles thought it was the other guy. So we put a dead fish in Van Beeser's car, and they stored it someplace in the back seat, so he couldn't find it. And it was Turcotte. That's right. Gresson giving him so Nyland went to Turcotte's house with Mark Hardy, and he got out of the car. Harpo stayed in the car. He was like driving the getaway car, and he stabbed the tires, Turcotte. And then Mark Hardy said, "You're just going to stab one?" Oh God, I can see Mark Hardy doing that too, man. He was funny. Thought he worked as a dog catcher. Who's that? Oh, me, dog catcher. Oh yeah. Oh, Mark Hardy was funny. Harpo, we called him. He's got the big curly hair and everything. He's the assistant coach in Chicago in the IHL now, I think. IHL, or is that still around even? AHL. Let me see. Yeah, you should be sunning yourself. No. What the heck did you? Yeah, Mark Hardy. He'd have to be one of the funniest guys. I'm trying to get Larry Playfair and I have missed each other too. Man, there's another funny guy. We had a good bunch of guys out in LA. Like I said, I told in the past when I first got there. I loved New York. I didn't want to leave. But then once you got there, I realized it's a great place to play. Yeah. You podcasted. Your podcast was great. Yeah. Really, it was amazing, right? Because, you play against the guy, and that's all I really didn't know him any way other than to see him play. And, he's just a big, mean, good hockey player. And we met each other at charity events after our careers were over. Really, we didn't have much of a relationship or anything. And we started doing the podcast with Gresh, Dave Maloney, Ron Duguay, and I, and then Gene Patrick came in and Larry Melnick. And Clark Gillies contacted me on Facebook, and I think he had me call him, gave me his number or something like that, and call him. And he was like a little kid. He's like, "Tommy, can I come on the show?" This is Clark Gillies. He was so nice. He was great. Just like, we're all teammates. We weren't, but very complimentary towards us. And talked about that 84 team in particular that they beat us. Kenny Morrow scored in overtime. That he thought that if we'd gone past them, we could have won the Stanley Cup that year. Like, thanks in one way, and we did. I watched that game a few times. That game 5. Oh man, we should have won that game. Should have won game 4 at the Garden. We were 2 games to 1. It was a best of 5 series. And then like that game 5 they played was probably one of the best, if not the best game I was part of. That was just our team was great. They knew how to win. I thought we outplayed them, but again, they just knew how to win. And Billy Smith was great. Net Glennie Hannon was great in net too. And no disrespect, I get tons of respect for Kenny Morrow, but you wouldn't expect Kenny Morrow was going to score. I think it's Bossy or Trache or whatever. But smart play, he just throws it in the net and scores. So, and again, I want to be careful. I total respect for Kenny Morrow. It's just he wasn't like games like me. We were goal scorers. We weren't counted on to score. So, you haven't been posting pictures of you, Jim. No, Susan. No. Okay, I'll start posting more pictures from the gym. I went to this new gym. It's a little bit more of a blue collar gym. But there's been lots of places are banning the pictures being taken, the tripods, because there's been fights. I saw a video the other day. This guy, big meathead, was working out somebody just walking in the gym, and they didn't see that he had the tripod set up with his camera on it. And he got all mad at him. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't just have a whole area that's yours, dedicated to you. People want to walk around, they walk around. Edit your films. Edit, people. Gym etiquette. Well, the one thing, so this is a pretty inexpensive gym that I'm at too, but it's like bare bones, but it's got all the equipment and everything. But they don't have really anybody working that's going to pick up everybody's weights. So everybody should just learn to pick up their own weights. Re-rack your weights. A proper workout includes re-racking your weights. Went in this morning, all plus. But you know what? We beautify the world. We just pick up weights, get to work. Got a new buddy in the gym that works there, young Jack. The guy, he started following me on Instagram. Really cool. He's 24 years old. Like some of the stuff he knows that I've just thought I've just learned. Like Joe Dispenza, this guy. We tell a story about him. He's a motivational speaker now. He was hit by a truck riding his bicycle, pedaling bicycle, and was paralyzed. The doctors told him he'd never walk again. So the story is, and then I guess you can believe it or not, he just told himself, "No, I'm going to walk," and he kept telling himself that over and over. And finally, he walked. And I was telling the stories of this young Jack, who's only 24 years old. He said, "Oh yeah, I know the story." Like he really educated himself. He really impressive kid that, at that age, instead of just goofing around or whatever, he trying to better himself. So, let me see here. A great impression of Bergeron, who he needed. He said, "Murray was giving me crap for not playing tough at practice." One day, Patrick drilled Bergeron. Hardy goes, "Hey, Berkey, not so tough." I can hear Mark Hardy say that too. You see James Patrick just like cringing. I haven't followed he started coaching again out in Victoria, right? Yes. He was going to take a year off, but they hired him as a consultant, and then things were going well, so they asked him to take over now. He loved. I told him at the time, "You're not going to miss the whole year." He loved coaching too much. So good coach. He's really gotten better. I think he believes in himself more too as being that head coach material. He may be too old for the NHL for him, but at the same time, I think he's a fantastic coach. Really knowledgeable about the game. Great personality, which is part of it, right? You got to have that personality that people, when you walk in the room, they realize, okay, here's the boss, right? Over the bus. You see, Rocky's old workout gym. This one's kind of like that. It's got all the equipment, but we don't spend very much on it, so they don't clean up. Some equipment will break; it'll be broken for a couple of days, but we end up fixing it ourselves and get to know everybody in the gym there, all the beasts. It's funny. Large Hispanic population, so not everybody speaks English. Let's see here. It's amazing that Gillies never fought Nicky or Bubba Nystrom. Yeah, it's kind of like an unwritten rule that those guys were going to fight each other. We all knew it. It was pointless. They punch each other in the head. They all showed how tough they were with Clark Gillies and Bobby Nystrom in the island, and Nicky and Bubba here. They didn't have to prove anything, and they didn't, nor did Barry or Nicky take advantage of the other teams too. Like any hits, clean hits. Eddie Hosper started some trouble sometimes. When you see they'd really go after him if he did. Like if he started cheap shot somebody, but we didn't do that. We didn't play that way against. There was always hard hits. And sometimes guys would get mad because you hit them hard. It's totally different with Philly, right? I mean, it was a different story altogether. They played a different game. And when we really got good, we talked about it before the series started. We'd say, listen, we're not going to fight these guys. So why bother? That's what they want to do. That's their game plan. That's not our game plan, especially once Herb came in. with a smaller, faster team. So, yes. Ryan Walter seems to be interesting. Yep. When motivation is training instead of law. Yeah. Who else is doing some interesting? Who's the tough guy in Detroit that pummeled Lemieux? He's a comedian now. Apparently pretty good too. Tough. I can't remember what his name was. Somebody will remember. Yeah. I'm talking about etiquette. There's no such thing as hockey etiquette anymore. Who can't people wait until there's a whistle to come and go? I know. About people at the fans of the game. You can't wait until there's a whistle to come and go. I know. Then that's just in general. I just think and again, there's so many fantastic people, but it's like there's a lot of people just like forgetting about everybody else. I'm going to do what's right for me because I guess they feel like, that's it comes from the turf. Yeah, Darren McCarty. Thanks, Michael Mason. Darren McCarty. Apparently, he's pretty funny. Cleaned himself up. I think he had a problem with drinking and drugs a little bit, and he cleaned himself up. And I have not heard his stuff, but pretty good. This is a funny man. Like in the morning, that Geo that's on with Boomer. Man, he's funny. He does his impressions and everything. There was a bench clearing brawl, and Nicky grabbed Gillies, and he calmed down, and they didn't fight. Yeah. They all respected each other. I just remember playing the game. You just realize, okay, we can hit each other, but no cheap shots. And if we do, then something's going to happen. And as much as it wasn't fear amongst those guys, they didn't fear each other. It's just they all respect each other. It's pointless us all fighting each other, especially like all those guys, because they all fought everybody else. Like Gillies fighting O'Reilly in that one series so many times. So, yes. Let me see. Yeah. Did you drive yourself to the Coliseum back in the day? Yes, we did. Yeah, we drove to New Jersey, drove to the Garden, drove to Islanders. Yeah, they're all like home games. So we go home, we practice in our own rink at Rye Playland. Then we go home, have our meal and our naps, same way, and then drive. It took about the same time too. You figure the Garden was closer. I think it's closer, but traffic and everything. So yeah, we go to Long Island, drive. Yeah, it's kind of strange now, but yeah, it was easy. Yep. I remember when Hospital challenged Bubba. Bubba said, "No thanks." Yeah, you can really hear it loud too, right? I remember I watched that video recently, where he kind of waved his hands at Eddie too, like get out of here. I'll go ahead, Eddie, because George had fought him earlier. I think that's when Eddie cross-checked Gresh in the head, and then George went after him, gave it pretty good. Eddie's tough. I mean, I give him credit. I know, especially because when he wasn't a Ranger, he did some nasty stuff like Hartford there, elbowing Jan Erickson in the head. But Eddie knew he had to build a reputation of being that nutcase out there. And I asked him on our podcast too. I said, "Did you do it intentionally?" He just kind of laughed and said, "Yeah." He's like, yeah. I guess he caused trouble for himself everywhere he went. Dennis Plonich, little guy. He's one of those guys you hated to play against too. Bob Basson was another guy like that. Great guy too. Now he's in the Dallas alumni. But those guys were, because you can win. I mean, it's if you hit them and knock them down, well, the smaller you are. And then if you get knocked down, or like they never stop coming too. They just tons of credit for those guys. Robbie Fatorik was like that, same way. God, I remember playing against him when he was in Quebec City, and then we played together and he coached out in LA. And great teammate, fantastic. But to play against him, it's like, oh God, like you look at the lineup and you go, this guy's never going to quit. Yes, I was. Yes, I actually. I think I've told this, but I played against George in college. And in college, you really can't fight. And I thought I was the toughest guy on the planet. And here comes this little guy, George McPhee, who's we were ranked number one in the country. And I think he was a year behind me. I think he was, yeah. And he ultimately won the Hobie Baker for most valuable player. So I was like, get away from me. Like, this little guy. And I didn't know he could fight. And my coach at the time knew his coach was, I can't remember, was coaching at Bowling Green, and told me, Tom, this guy's pretty tough. And I said, really? So then he was in the minors. George was called up, and I think it was his first game against the Islanders, and he squared off with Bobby Nystrom. And again, I think this guy can't fight. He doesn't know who Bobby Nystrom is. He's going to get killed. So I jumped in just to hold George back, and he was hot at me. What are you doing? And then they jumped out of the penalty box and went at it again, and it was a good fight. And I told him after, I just didn't know that you could fight like that. And then he proved how tough he was. Yeah, he wouldn't back down from anybody. Tom, I remember Bubba having a hard time moving Brian McClellan, like Reese McClellan, all-time favorite. Was just, I hear what you're saying, but if you once have played with him, so I played with him here in New York, he just, he was another guy like a Willie Huber that was actually too big for the way he played. But again, when we needed him to be a tough guy, he beat up somebody in Philly, I think it was. I saw him beat up Larry Playfair when he played for the King. When actually Brian was with the Kings and Larry was with Buffalo, knocked Larry down and out. So he could do it. It's a lot like a Chris Kreider, right? Like you're seeing this big guy that's you think he should be getting more out of his game, but if you really play with him, then you see, okay, then that's who he is, right? It's like the expectation is that you want him to be that big physical guy hammering people all the time, and it's just just not the way those guys play. But both effective players. Bubba said, "F you, George." Yeah. Yes. I remember watching that. Yeah. Yeah. Hobie Baker at Bowling Green. Yes. George McPhee. Good player. You know, it's funny. I watched him. I think he got a lot of injuries. Bounced around too, right? He was at the Rangers, and he went to Winnipeg, and he was back in New Jersey at one point too. But intelligent guy, went to law school, done a great job as a general manager too. Let me see. Gillies all over the ice, threw a ball. The Gillies wouldn't fight and ran away. Vickers was. Well, I didn't see that, Gary. I mean, I'm not doubting you, but I don't think Steve Vickers was tough, no question. But maybe some of the reason why Clark would fight him. No disrespect to Steve Vickers, he was, but I don't think I've seen Gillies run away from too many people. I think we Pavs Gerhard were teammates and juniors. Polonich. He said Pavlich, sorry. Were they? Okay. They could have been. Yeah, those are two tough guys to play against. Yeah. Well, if you see the fight, and you're right, Nation did headbutt George, but George headbutted him first, but he was smart about it. And then Bobby Nation was mad and did it very openly. Where George was kind of like pretending like he knew what he was doing. He was pretending he was throwing a punch and leaning forward, and he headbutted him. And Nation knew he did it on purpose. I don't blame him. I mean, there's a fight. I don't know if it's the same game that George knocked down Longeman, but I remember watching that. Cut him pretty good too, right by their net. I'm pretty sure that was a different game. I think it was in the Madison Square Garden, that one. The one when George fought Nystrom the first time was in Long Island. So could have been. But Don Jackson was tough, man. Oh man, he would take on anybody. See some of the old fights they had against Calgary, and he was with the Edmonton Oilers. Those big guys they had, Larry, or like Willie Plett and all those guys. I think at some point George did wear a back brace. Yeah, maybe that was the injuries he had. Oh yeah, this is a good fight too. Right at the Garden, right at center ice. That's what Glennie Hanlon was on the bench going nuts. Something I don't know what happened to it. Was a good. I thought it was a good fair fight, and Tocchet got mad after that. I think he felt like I don't know. He thought George did something dirty to him. I didn't think he did. It may have been he had his hands taped up, and he cut him because of that. Because Tocchet didn't like to lose. He's a big tough dude, and Glennie was on the bench loving it. And he's Keenan and Paul Holmgren, I'll never forget, are on the Philly bench. And Glennie's going nuts, like banging on the boards and everything after, putting on a big show like he's cheering. And those two guys are looking at him. And George is like I think he gave the finger even. He was, man, we had some good guys. Glennie Hanlon was like, oh, man, great team player. Was there ever a time after game that a player who beat up another player bad would say that he should have held back a little bit? Apparently, from what I understand, when Clark Gillies hurt Eddie Hospodar, broke his jaw, apparently I was told he was very upset in the locker room, that he didn't want to hurt him. He wanted to beat him, but he didn't want to hurt him. When Bobby Nystrom, when he gave me the forearm shiver in the head and I had to spend the night in the hospital, he went out of his way it was a playoff series. So before the next game, he went out of his way I think he actually called me. And then I think it was an elimination game too. We got beat out by them. And then shaking hands after, he pulled me aside and said, "This, I really apologize." Like he could tell he genuinely felt bad. It wasn't like he was scared of me. He wasn't scared of anybody. But he really went out of his way to apologize because, when you play against the guy all the time and everybody just plays it even up, there's no cheap shots. Some guys would take advantage of that, but he wasn't that kind of guy. He did say to me one time, it was a scrum going. He was a good intimidator. He says, "Laidlaw, I let you hit me." I was like, okay, what am I going to say to that? Okay, thank you, Mr. Nystrom. Good guy, though. Very good guy. You see, Sarge left off his rookie season when he kicked O'Reilly, DuPont, or somewhere. After that, he really, yeah. Yeah, and he was tough, and the thing was, he was a really good player too, so he didn't have to fight. And probably most coaches wouldn't want him in the penalty box all the time because he was a good player. And again, once you come in and show that you can fight like that, then not a lot of guys want to fight you. Now, I mean, the Terry O'Reillys of the world. Well, I saw a video of O'Reilly. He was talking about fighting some guy and some young kid. This is near the end of O'Reilly's career, and the kid went down, and O'Reilly apparently picked him up and kept pinning him. In fact, he felt bad for the guy, so he pinned him against the glass. And then the kid took advantage of that and I guess hammered O'Reilly pretty good. And O'Reilly was funny. He was telling the story. They went to the face-off when they got out of the box, and he leaned down to the kid. He says, "You don't think it was just going to be one time tonight, did you?" And then fought him again. Imagine Terry O'Reilly say that to you. Oh, God, he was a good guy. Apparently just a fantastic human being, too. Yes. Yeah. This would be one of the few guys, and I've never met him, but this would be one of the few guys that everybody you talk to, just like there's one thing about being tough. If you watch the one playoff series we had against them, and Eddie Mead was in that, and Wilson was a good player. He'd skated by the net and just whacked Eddie over the back of the head, just in the middle of the play. And there's a series when I think we beat them that game like 9-3 or something. And almost all the goals were on power plays, and they kept taking stupid penalties. We kept scoring all the time. They never learned. But that's the way, Keenan, I think, was coaching too, and he wanted to be like that. But yeah, Wilson was like, and you've watched what a good player he was too. They had him on the power play, killing penalties. He's fight, he can hit, but stupid stuff. Just like, if he had the brain and the heart that like Nystrom or Barry Beck or Clark Gillies, man, Tom, one of the toughest Rangers all the time was Bert Wilson. Oh, okay, man, punch out that guy. His name's Phil Russell, Hank Novak, Ted Harris. The Cat didn't dress Bert against Philly. Huh? I didn't know that. Bert Wilson. Let me see. Yeah, what do we got here? Shall they look back to the 70s and see how the linesmen were handled by players? Surprised the officials held their 10. Yeah. And they were good guys too. And you had a relationship with those guys. I think in the 80s it changed a little bit. I think there's a lot more respect for the linesmen. I mean, there's one fight I saw Barry Beck was fighting Rick Tocchet in Philly. And Bubba tried to get one last shot in and it hurt the referee's linesman's knee or something like that. That didn't happen often. Most guys were very you looked out for the referee because listen, sometimes guys, you get in a fight, you're going to lose, and if the referee's not there to jump in, you can get hurt. So they really protected the players too. So it was a two-way street. Let me see. 1974 game, Schultz and Mugdale. Yeah, I know that was. I was watching that video. I'll never forget back in the cat was furious. Yeah. You never want to see that. I mean, even if you're going to get thrown out of the game, just dive in. That was unfortunate. I remember watching that game too because I'd heard about that. You don't let your teammate get beat up. It was at home. Again, you don't necessarily have to jump in and fight Dave Schultz, but just jump in and grab him and pull him down. Everybody else is going to be coming in anyways. But Pierre Plante. Was he a good fighter? Pierre Plante. Will Norris, that was. Let's see here. When Schultz mugged Rolf, you can see that Eddie Jacobin, Brett Park wanted to jump in, couldn't because of the third. But you know what? You don't worry about the third man rule. If one of your teammates is getting beat up like that, you jump in anyways. We were playing. Thomas Sandstrom was young in his career. And we were playing in Washington, actually, and Scott Stevens was in his heyday. And Thomas did something. I don't even think I saw what Thomas did what's his name? Scott Stevens. But I turned around there going, you can't, I got thrown out of the game, but you can't let, Scott, you got to know, Scott Stevens is going to beat up Thomas Sandstrom. You can't let that happen. And Anderson Hedberg was really good too, because Thomas's English wasn't that good at the time. So after the game, actually, I think him, Jan Eriksson, all the Swedes came over to me, and it was pretty cool. It was a good team bonding thing where, they came and said, thank you for jumping in there. Again, Thomas, it wasn't his fault. Peppers breaking into somebody's car. But again, I've used that as one example many times like that. Barry Beck's of the world, everybody, most team guys just don't let your teammate get beat up, especially if it's a setting like it's Philadelphia. I think that game was at the Garden. But again, who knows? I mean, maybe the coaches had said to the players, "Listen, I don't want you getting thrown out. Don't worry what, don't jump in." Could happen. I mean, didn't Brad Park China? I can't remember. It was just if you just watch a short clip of it, it just looks bad. The optics are not good. Eddie Jockman's a great team player, so I'm sure he, did what he could do. But it was, you're standing there watching Dale Rolfe get hammered, and he was getting hammered too. I don't know where the referees were in the linesman. I guess it must have been another fight going on. But Hatfield had a couple of nice years in Pittsburgh before his knees gave out. Yeah, I remember him as being a pretty tough player too, a good player. He scored 50 goals with the Rangers too, didn't he? During scrums, it seems Eddie Johnson always ended up. Eddie was a fighter. I'll disagree with that one. Eddie Johnson could scrap. Oh man, but he was a smaller guy too. Yeah, but you're right. He would always end up with somebody bigger. I saw a good scrap there recently. He was against Philadelphia. It's right, Frank Bade, I think it was. Man, they were going at it. I think people I don't think people really realize how good of a fighter he was. But he was Siggy, good man. Got all the full head of hair now. It's just all white. Looks good, looking good. Big Hatfield led the NHL in penalty minutes since '64. Was tough and nasty with the Oh, really? I didn't know that. Really, I just always had this vision of him. I didn't see him play that much. Maybe that he was just tough and like good goal scorer, tough guy. It was because I saw him earlier in his career. I didn't know he made much money in the WHA. I thought he was always in the NHL, but couldn't have watched him take the beating. That's why he was brought into the fold. Yeah. And again, I don't know all the details because I don't want to be critical of those players that are involved because they all seem like great team players. So, but yeah, you can't. No matter what happens, you cannot let somebody get beat up the way Rolfe was getting beat up. Especially when it's Philly, it's Dave Schultz. I remember even watching an interview with some of the Philadelphia guys. I can't remember who it was, and they even brought that up where they never would have let that happen with their teammates. And they could say whatever they want, but they backed that up. They didn't. You can watch some fights if their teammate was ever getting beat up. They all jumped in. Norm Barnes it was. Yes, you're right. Eddie Johnson was Norm Barnes. Yes. Barnes was a pretty tough guy. Yeah. Sure wasn't Frank Bade Norm Barnes? Yeah. Do you remember Frank seldom beaten? Yes, I do. Not a big man, but he could fight. Actually, I was talking to his good friend, old teammate of mine, Dan Clark. I made a point. I think I've said this to you guys, that now if I ever have some dead time during the day, I'll try to go through my contact list and call people that doesn't have to be old players, just people I haven't talked to in years. Get in that habit. Just only calling people when you need something. So just calling them. And I found like it's a big deal to people, just you're calling. I tell them, I just called to say hello. I said, wow, that's really cool. And you catch up on. He's actually a really interesting guy. I don't think he'll mind me telling him. Well, he dated a girl about 12 years ago who kind of entrapped him, and she got pregnant and did it intentionally. He had a choice. I think he didn't have to do other things, but he stayed, again, I talked to him the other day and I didn't realize the story, but he was telling me that he was in Toronto where the boy lives, his mother. And he's made a point of making sure he stays in the boy's life. He can't change what the mother did. He brought, his child, and he's going to do the right thing. So he's really raised him financially and emotionally. So I was telling me the story, and I was like, that is so cool. You hear so many stories now about not just dads, but a lot of dads that just, whether it's, they get divorced from the woman or whatever, and they just don't spend any time with their kids. Don't take care of the financial or whatever. So I really kudos to Dan Clark. I mean, if you guys remember him, played mostly in the minors, but was up with the Rangers. Big tough guy, really intelligent. Got into the mining business, really did well. Really intelligent guy. But when he was telling me the story about it, I was like, wow, that is cool. Like he just, you can tell, he wasn't happy about it. He knew he got, trapped. I guess the girl had a friend that had told him, said, listen, she's doing this intentionally. Like she used some story that she had her tubes tied or whatever it was. And it wasn't the case at all. In fact, she was taking medication to help her get pregnant. So, but to his credit, he didn't get mad at the boy. It wasn't the boy's fault. So kudos to him. No, in the issue came as soon as the cat trying to buy a cup, and Rangers pay more expanded. A guy like Park went from 40,000 to 200. All the Ranger stars got massive raises and goes against average. Went up. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know that. To comment on that for me is not accurate, so I should not do that. 1980, I watched Pav. Yep. Oh yeah, I remember that. That wasn't backing down from anybody. There was a big defenseman they had too that did something to Pav. The Pav, I think Pav retaliated when he came out of the box right after him. Slew footed him, threw him down, jumped on top of him. Pav. I've only seen a video once when Nikki chased him down the runway. It was dirty. I didn't play against him, but the stories about him are, I guess he went to jail after too. But do you remember when he pretended he was mooning the Garden crowd? Maybe that same game, you get thrown out of the game and then he's going down to the Zamboni door and he pretended he was pulling his pants down, bending over. That's the only time I ever saw that in a pro hockey game. Oh man, that was funny. Danny Clark was a tough guy. We had Johnny. Yep, also another tough friends. Just showed the initial good players. Yep, yeah. Danny Clark, good man. What an intelligent man too. Like, he's talked to him sometimes. He's too smart to be a hockey player. Susan, you're a relentless Susan. Yes, we're writing a book. Maybe we write a second book on some of these stories. No, it wasn't Fred Arthur, although he was there. But it's a guy whose son is a defenseman in the National Hockey League now. Oh God, somebody else will get it. Susan will get it. He's a really good player too. He had been in Phoenix. I kept in touch with him online on Facebook and everything too. We've been buddies. Big defenseman, right? I'm pretty sure he was a right shot defenseman too. The father was. Yes, it was. Okay, so it was a moon in the crowd, Barry. Okay, yeah. Chikrin, thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. You saved me a couple of times here. Jeff Chikrin, man, he's tough dude too. Would you consider going to the WHA if the league was? Man, that's a great question, really. Man, that would, because you dream your whole life, especially growing up in Canada, playing in the National Hockey League. Like, you want to play pro, but like the National Hockey League is it. So if you had the option, so let's ask it this way. So if you had the option, let's say they offered you $75,000 to play with the New York Rangers or $100,000 to play with Indianapolis Racers or whatever they were, would I do it? Now it's something I hear some of the stories. We had Charlie Simmer on the show. He started talking about how, I think he was in WHA. I mean, some of these places that the WH cities were in, it was kind of like slap shot stuff. It's the NHL, man. You first walk in the NHL. I'll never forget. When I first walked into an NHL locker room. Phil Esposito was there, and it just was like, oh, man, this is what it's all about. This is a dream come true. And no disrespect. I mean, Gordie Howe played in WHA. Bobby Hull, all these guys. Just, I don't. That's a great question. It really have to be one of those things when he's actually right there and you think to yourself, okay, I've dreamt all my life to play in the NHL. And now I'm going to go play in the WHA. That'd be a tough one. Great question, though, Danny. That could be like your best question of all time. Steve Durbano was our first round pick in 71 Vickers. They said our first round pick was Moose Dupont. The cat kept giving away young muscle. Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon here, dudes and dudettes. Penguins got Durbano and Ballister Kelly from the Blues, and they said stories about Derby were probably true. Oh yeah, we had a guy, this security guy, would come in and make a presentation every year. Frank Twuppy, with the Boston accent. I think it was Boston accent, and he would say, I don't know how he got to it, but every year it's like, Steve Durbano's doing 30 hard years, and he'd say it every year when he came in. And so we were all fired up because here comes Frank, and we're all trying to imitate him. Like, Steve Durbano's doing 30 hard years. What he got in trouble for, but 30 hard years. Frank Twuppy, one of those guys, legendary. Yeah. I gotta start with Gretzky Messier. Yeah, right. WHA bounced a lot of checks. Yeah, it was all the uncertainty. Some guys made good money. Derek Sanderson made a lot of money, lost a lot of it or all of it. But yes. So Charlie Simmer was married to the Playboy playmate Terry Wells. Yeah. Charlie's remarried now. Been married for a long time, and we were doing the show, and I had to bring it up. You can't not bring getting married to a Playboy playmate up, but you could tell that was not going to be something that was discussed. That the current wife was in the house, and he was not going to be caught in the trap. You could tell he's a funny guy too, and he's if it was privately, he's probably got some good stories, but. No, I brought it up. I dug a little bit to try to get him going on it, but so you can see that this is a real awkward thing. So certain places you can't go. So Let me see here. Chadwick have been spending in every league. Chadwick. Oh, sorry. I enjoyed Terry as a young guy. Terry? Are you talking about Terry Wells, Charlie Shimmer's wife? You're saying that Terry Wells used to be a guy? Jack? Who else would you be talking to here? Talking about Terry Wells. I enjoyed Terry as a young guy. Is it a sex change? Nothing wrong with that. Might have a sex change. Go ahead, but I enjoyed Terry as a young guy. Sounds pretty bad, Jack. Oh, I enjoyed it. You enjoyed Terry. Oh, it's good. I didn't know you knew Terry when he was a guy. Terry Wells was a guy. Oh, okay. All right, guys. We're over an hour here babbling away. Everybody, again, the shoulder check movement. Let's make sure we're all staying up on that. And again, the podcast, I can't tell you enough, the Riley Cote podcast on Full Change on all your podcast platforms. Please like, share, and comment. But Riley Cote is very interesting, informative story. No matter where you stand on the subject of psilocybin, obviously it's not legal. It's legal in some states, but just learned a lot from him about the uses of it, good and bad. So, and how to use it properly. Again, I don't want to condone this kind of stuff deeply, but I think it's worth a listen if you're just to educate yourself. He's in fact, I said to him on the show, I stopped him at one point. I said, did you ever think as a hockey player you'd be talking to me? You're talking to me. When you listen to him, it's like you're talking to some scientist. Let me see here. Don't wait. I'm trying to keep it clean. Oh, I did talk about poop at the very early in the show. Maybe we're not yet, Barry. No, it's funny. I know, but you said, who else is a woman? But you said, I enjoyed Terry as a young guy. Oh, you're a young guy. Sorry. But I honestly, God read it that you were saying Terry was a young guy. It's not. Now I see you're saying you were a young guy and you enjoyed her. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed her. Oh, Jack, you are just. Let me see. Terry Wells is a woman. Yes, she is. Yes. Yes, she is. I remember Carol Badney had a pretty wife. Yes. Sweetheart. Yep. Very classy couple too. Like the artwork and cigars and yes, well dressed all the time. Jack, I'm not putting that up on the screen, Jack. No way. Place a comment. This is funny because I really legitimately read it that you were saying that you enjoyed Terry Wells as a young guy. She was a young guy. Didn't realize that you enjoyed her. Oh, goodness. All right. The shoulder check movement. Everybody, please keep that in the back of your mind when you're seeing people, young, old, whatever. Just make sure we help each other out. The 988 hotline is also out there for people. It's a suicide and mental health hotline. People feel like there's a lot. I don't think we realize how much of a mental health issue we have in our country. Well, in the world, really. A lot of young people, like social media, all the stuff there now. So really, we got to be really helping each other out, making sure we're asking, and your own kids as well. Just don't assume that your kids are okay, because maybe the last person they want to come talk to is their parents, right? That very often happens. So make sure you're asking your kids, hey, you okay? Do you want to sit and talk? Do you want to talk to somebody else? Yes, you did make me laugh, Jack. That was good. Because I really legitimately thought, okay, what is Jack saying? Okay, so here we're at. So up at Larry Pierce Farm outside of Binghamton, New York. Barry Shelley was there last weekend. You were there, the Warriors, and the beautiful place up there. They've got this. It's a farm where they built an outdoor rink and all kinds of stuff. Great family. They've vowed that they will never charge people to use the rink again. It's a full size outdoor rink with the chillers and the whole bit. And they built this. I want to get up there to see this kind of, I guess, log cabin, you should call it, by the rink where you go and get warm, big balcony, you can sit and watch games and everything. I don't know yet if I'm going or not. The Rangers I've asked them, because Jen O'Brien that leads ASHA, that's an ASHA, I should be careful and make sure I remember this. ASHA is the American Special Hockey Association. They're having a tournament up there. And I've gone up there the last 2 or 3 years in a row. So they've asked me to go again. I see again, they book all that stuff for the Rangers. So I talked to Jackie DiPiazza yesterday, and she's going to get back to me and let me know if I'm coming or not. So I might, if they say I am, I've cleared the weekend out so I can get up there. But I'll let you know, Barry, as soon as I find out. Big game tonight. Hope Breadman is okay. Next week, Tom, I'll tell a story about my dad and Kenny Hodge and Binghamton. Okay, good. I think you may have mentioned that before about Kenny Hodge. All right, everybody, have a fantastic week. Good job. I'm going to go work on the book, Susan. So don't give me a hard time. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.